What, you lot sure you want this baddie?
Yeah. Hey, put your best leg.
Hey, yo, it's just a baddie though. Swear it down. Hey, partner. Come baddie. Don't stop running until I say.
In 2015, two London-based university students, Clint and Ade, built a friendship and decided to launch their own clothing brand, Cade. Printing mainly on t-shirts, the brand gained some traction after its first release in 2016, but it is ultimately dissolved by the end of 2017, with the majority of the brand's social media and websites deleted or abandoned shortly after. 2017. In the same year, Corteiz was born, but this time, Clint went solo from his bedroom. The logo features an Alcatraz island, which is thought to represent non-conformity. Now, upon doing research upon Corteiz, I became curious and asked myself, what does Corteiz actually mean? Now, the meaning is actually unknown, but with a little bit of help and digging, I had an idea of what Corteiz may be inspired by. Don't quote me on this, but I think it has to do with a conqueror named Hernan Corteiz. He went on to conquer the Aztec Empire with his army and also became governor of New Spain. When you put two and two together, it makes sense because it explains the rules the world tagline and the Alcatraz Island logo, as Cortez was one of the founders of California, where the island was actually located. Now again, don't quote me on this, I could be way off, but this is just an idea. Clint draws heavy inspiration from sports, more specifically footballers, old and current. He often reshares pictures of these sports stars on his Instagram story. Corteiz has grown to be the hottest streetwear brand in 2022, seen on Dave, Stormzy, Georgia Smith and Central C. And those are just a few of them. Clint utilized social media and guerrilla marketing during a pandemic to grow the brand to where it is now, all before turning 25. In order to achieve this status, Corteiz had to outrun the competition, including major streetwear powerhouses like Supreme, Stussy, and Palace. Companies with hundreds of employees brushed aside by one student with a dream. So, how exactly did Clint do it? Corteiz's appeal is his exclusivity. The majority of consumers can't afford a 3,000 Louis Vuitton jacket. This generates exclusivity for those that can. Corteiz has revolutionized this idea. In order to buy Corteiz, you need to find a password to its website and check out within minutes of the drop. Prices are affordable. The exclusivity is generated through word of mouth and innovative marketing. It's not the prices that stop consumers from purchasing, it's the aspect of not being easily accessible. Now you may be asking, how does this affect the fashion industry? Well, what will consumers demand from brands when price is no longer the issue, stopping them from purchasing? The answer is more. This really is a way for the industry to be pushed down to innovate and break down the financial hierarchies that are well established and have long held a majority of what is deemed as desirable. People don't want a £300 LV t-shirt anymore, they want a £30 Corteiz tee. Clint's approach to social media is Corteiz's secret weapon. His ability to show a youthful and nonchalant personality seems through his social media presence. Their authentic brand voice bridges the gap between them and their customers, which creates a loyal cult-type bond. Corteiz's official Instagram page is kept private, generating a members-only community aspect to the brand. The captions on his posts are kept short and blunt. His posts are product reveals, drops, passwords, locations, and a collection of film-inspired photography capturing Clint & Co.'s movements. The clothes don't look like they're being modelled, they're being worn. It captures the lifestyle, which relates to only those who know how to wear it. The community aspect is propelled by Clint's regular engagement with his audience, often replying to DMs in a nonchalant but funny manner. Their tagline, "Rules the World," has only strengthened the community and is often used by obviously Clint himself, but more so his audience and customers. Corteiz's nature of resharing a customer's clothing partnered with their tagline helps them in return, in the sense that part of their marketing is done for them by their audience. This is the power of word of mouth. Clint's personality can also be seen through his Twitter presence. He often jokes with followers about why the drops are late, what the password is, and sharing around memes. This all helps generate buzz around the brand and the drops. All of this contrasts with what we expect to see from a brand's social media presence. Their whole ethos is to stand out, and that's what they achieve. What's interesting about Corteiz as a streetwear brand is that they actively discourage reselling. Clint posts videos of him cancelling orders that are being resold onto Depop to his Instagram, and recently stated that there's only one place to shop Corteiz. Corteiz doesn't want consumers to pay more than the retail price to be in their community. Resale destroys the community aspect as it raises financial barriers to entry, whereas other brands, most notably Nike, they do little to nothing about the resale market of their product as it benefits them. It helps them build hype, which in turn ensures each drop sells out, thus maximizing sales for Nike. Nike don't care because they're being paid regardless, even if this isolates consumers. They don't care because at the end of the day, resale keeps their brand relevant and profitable. The community element of Corteiz is reinforced when you look at the work with Aljab on behalf of Fruitful Resource Centre in Nairobi. He was able to donate stationery, educational resources and clothes from Corteiz. If you're not looking at the screen right now, the caption reads, "Unfortunately, despite all the good Fruitful Resource Centre has done for Kibra community, they still find it difficult to gain funds in order to renovate areas of the orphanage that need to be fixed, pay for school fees and feed all their children. Their only flow of income is by selling art pieces the children make in the market. I was able to donate pencils, pens, paper, reading books, and over 60 t-shirts and tracksuit bottoms, all thanks to Corteiz. This wouldn't have been possible without all the madam at Corteiz, so I'll always be grateful. A small London-based upcoming fashion brand is doing more to help those less privileged than million-dollar powerhouses. Not only did this show Corteiz's efforts to give back and help others, especially globally, to fit their mantra, rule the world, but it quite rightfully generated a lot of shares for them. And we can only hope that as Corteiz grows, good deeds like this continue to grow with them. Elsewhere, alongside their social media presence, Corteiz is able to reach customers in the real world. Their most recent and most publicized in real life drop, the Great Bolo Exchange, propelled the brand into mainstream media. Corteiz offered consumers the chance to trade their puffer jackets from big brands like North Face, Nike Nocta and Moncler in return for a Corteiz puffer, establishing themselves as on par with those brands which sit at the top of streetwear. My feed blew up with videos and pictures of people running around London to get the drop, which Clint revealed the location of literally about 30 minutes before. Hundreds of people turned up to give away their best jackets to potentially receive one of the 50 bolo jackets Corteiz had available. Some even played rock, paper, scissors to decide who won the remaining pieces. Perhaps the best part of the exchange was what happened after. The traded in jackets was worth a combined £16,000. These were all donated to the homeless, cementing Corteiz as a brand for the people, doing what they can to create change. This donation launched Corteiz into mainstream media, with fashion powerhouses Vogue beginning to report on the brand alongside Complex, Harper's Bazaar, and Hypebeast. You can also bet that he turned down a bunch of these interviews too. Not only was this a perfect example of guerrilla marketing, but a signal for other brands to appeal to customers in real life, not just online. Corteiz has consistently managed to physically gather their customers in the streets of London and Paris, having hundreds of young adults chase you around London for a £35 t-shirt purely because of brand image and exclusivity is majorly impressive and echoes the hypebeast era of the late 2010s when Supreme was at its prime with queues outside their stores lasting all day. Furthermore, when you begin to compare Corteiz and Supreme, you can see the influences from a lot of Supreme's business model. Limited capsules, dropped on the website at a specific time for an audience of young adults excited to own something that few others don't manage to obtain. What's important to remember comparing Corteiz to other street brands is Corteiz's independence. Supreme was bought by Vans in 2010 for $2.1 billion, whereas Corteiz continues to operate under Clint and his team in London. This means that while Supreme has big teams and thousands of funding behind them, Corteiz is making it work with what they have. This is perhaps what drives Corteiz to be so radical. As a small business competing with big companies, they need to do whatever they can to gain foothold in the market, and Corteiz achieved this through their marketing and brand image. Of course, not everything's positive 100% of the time, especially with how easy it is to complain publicly nowadays. With Corteiz recently under fire for the quality of their clothes following a collaboration t-shirt with Central C, a long-time supporter of the brand. Clint's response was that while Corteiz partnered with Central C for the collab, they only designed it, they didn't have control of the production. Corteiz has also gotten a lot of hate on the designs, saying it's simple and that anyone can do it. The thing is, while anyone can do the design, not everyone can make a brand. Not everyone can grow a hot and rising brand solo from their bedroom floor. Not everyone can have the creativity to market a brand accordingly. Not everyone can manage shipping and customer services with a small team, and not everyone can keep it going for 4 years. Fashion business is more than design, and that's what people forget. It's easy to judge when you're on the outside looking in, but the day that Clint decided to do an interview, hopefully with us, you'll hear the trials and tribulations of what it took. The two aspects combined have left some people doubting Corteiz's longevity. I've come across countless of comments saying the brand will die soon or that it's already dying. What do you think? Are you counting out Corteiz? Do you think new designs and better quality will have to come forth for them to survive? Let me know below. My take is I wouldn't doubt Clint. That being said, there's definitely two companies who don't think Corteiz is dying, and that's Lazare and Boohoo Man. Lazare, deemed the Wish version of Corteiz by their own Instagram comments, is exactly that. A cheap copy imitating everything from the logo to the poses in Corteiz's photos. Lazare does little to establish themselves as their own brand. The owners have yet to show their faces or actually sell a product. There's no photos, videos, TikToks of anyone owning a piece, and there's no link to the website in their bio. Boohoo Man. Their replication of Corteiz's contrast stitched tracksuit, which obviously sold out in seconds on Corteiz. Boohoo has a long-standing reputation of knocking off smaller businesses, and it makes sense because they noticed Corteiz's hype recently and decided to cash in on themselves. Try is imperative here, as once the knockoff was noticed on Boohoo Man's website, the memes began rolling in. I saw TikToks, Instagram posts and tweets clowning Boohoo, with Clinton himself, of course, berating the brand on Twitter. Clinton also went on to drop I Love Boo Hoes t-shirts in what can only be described as a power move that was simultaneously hilarious and clever. The tees gained him a lot of respect, which slightly increased orders, allowing Clinton to capitalize with someone else capitalizing off him. With all that in consideration, what can we learn? Community sells. Consumers want to feel included. They want to feel like they're part of whatever they're buying. Corteiz's use of passworded websites and a private page creates a if you know mentality and made consumers feel extra special when they successfully get their hands on the Corteiz piece that they've been waiting for, and they know that everyone else is waiting for too. To do something different. More and more brands are deviating from traditional advertising to guerrilla tactics. This is across the whole industry. Balenciaga recently covered a store in bright pink fur to celebrate a new launch, while Coach did a pop-up in a pillowy structure to celebrate their popular pillow tabby bag. Corteiz did the Bolo exchange. 3. Support those around you, value your loyalty, and know your worth. Don't rely on influencers to make your brand. Corteiz doesn't do paid partnerships, and Clint recently posted how he turns down sending clothes to influencers for free. Focus on the team around you and the community that has been with you from the start. Serve those who are loyal. Serve and reward the OG supporters who have been there from the start. Consumers value transparency and genuine connections over paid adverts. So, what can we expect to see from Corteiz moving forward? I'm expecting major plans to utilize this summer. I'm sure they'll be out in the streets again, but who knows their next move? Expansion into women's wear, a race across the beach to trade night shorts for Corteiz, a water fight across London. I wouldn't be surprised if they collaborate with a drinks company on a summer drink. What do you think is next? Let us know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed.
Say rules the world if you want to see. Rule the world. Say again. Rule the world. Rule the world. Rule the world. Rule the world. Say again. 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 Rule the world.